Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm all right. How are you? Are we recording now?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. We are skipping our usually very lucrative sponsorship messages and a few other bits because there's basically a ton to go through this week.
Yeah, we've actually been struggling to cut things out, I think.
Uh,
And every time we go, oh, here's the plan for next week. I mean, granted, we're 2 weeks on, but
yeah.
more stuff just kept coming out. So, yeah,
Yeah.
let's start from the beginning
But
and
here we are.
let's the sad news that Ivan Reitman passed away this week.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm Mark and I sort of talked about this online, and 75. It's not old,
Not these days, not
but
really.
he did get to see Afterlife and the franchise passed down to his son, which is quite a nice thing.
Yeah. And they've not kind of released any information about the cause of death, but I did see in the statement it said it was unexpected. So it didn't seem like he'd been
Unwell
ill
for long.
particularly.
No, I saw
He-
he was peacefully in his sleep at home. So
yeah,
I mean that could be anything, couldn't it?
yeah.
Very
And he's
sad.
certainly doing the recent publicity stuff for Afterlife. He certainly seemed chipper and full of beans. So,
Yeah, sure.
and actually, Arnold Schwarzenegger put out a statement saying that he'd been speaking to him just recently regarding the sequel to Twins.
Triplets.
Triplets, yeah, which I think they've been working on for a long, long time, and is kind of rumored to include. I think they were talking about Eddie Murphy as the third child,
Okay.
adult. But in that statement, Schwarzenegger did say that that they were planning on filming that in the autumn.
Okay.
So doesn't sound like there was when they say it was an unexpected death. It certainly does seem that way. It doesn't sound like there was anything health-wise particularly wrong with him, or other than just being a bit old. Which, as you say, that age is really nothing these days.
Yeah, agreed. It is very sad. It's
It
very sad.
is. It is.
Well, with the Super Bowl just gone, that famous American football thing, which not many people in the UK understand but pretend to, with that came the usual, well, I say usual, there wasn't that many this year, but trailer drop.
Yes.
And the one trailer that I was expecting got released 3 or 4 days before the Super Bowl, which is Jurassic World Dominion.
Yeah. Which
That
looks
looks
really
okay.
good. It looks good.
Yep. Reuniting the original three cast members
Yes.
in the World trilogy.
Yeah. Obviously, we've already seen Jeff Goldblum
His
appear
cameo.
in the last one, which I thought was a nice appearance. I am really looking forward to this. I've really enjoyed the Jurassic World films so far.
I did when it first came out,
Mm-hmm.
and I think on reflection, I've not really enjoyed them.
Okay.
I thought number one was okay because I think I was just excited to have a new Jurassic film.
Sure. Yeah.
But then as the film progressed and the reliance on CG, which, okay, for 1994, it still looks okay.
Mm.
But if you're going to rely on it heavily for these creatures that don't exist, I felt it was very badly done. They made up for it a little bit in The Fallen Kingdom
Mm.
with some use of animatronics. I'm just scared that the third one will go back to the first one's problems.
I think you're maybe overestimating how much CGI was used.
What, in the first Jurassic World?
Yeah.
I will look it
Yeah.
up, but I still think it was a ton.
It was. Don't get me wrong, but they did make quite a big deal for both films in the behind the scenes stuff of the level of animatronics that were used.
Maybe it's that. The first one, yes, I remember that being done, and Colin Trevorrow was like, yeah, we're going to go back to what made the original one great.
Mm-hmm.
But the large scale animatronics didn't exist. It was the little things, like the little petting zoo stuff.
All the close-up stuff.
Sure. Whereas,
yeah.
in the first Jurassic Park, in Jurassic Park, an animatronic T-Rex tears the shit out of a Jeep.
I know what you mean. There was, yes, probably an over-reliance on it. There's something about, we've said it before, haven't we, when we were talking before about like The Thing and the prequel versus the original,
Uh-huh.
where there's something about the way an animatronic or makeup or a physical effect captures and reflects light and has a look that still just can't quite be captured.
Yeah. As much you can do in camera, the better.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not a director or make movies, and I know why things are relied on in the computer. But yeah, if I was an actual filmmaker, I know which one I'd like to try and do more of, which is physical stuff. But then again, what do I know?
Of course. Having said that, sod Jurassic World.
It's not even. Oh no,
because that is not the main event.
no.
I mean, there was a trailer that dropped. That, oh my god!
It dropped on Super Bowl Sunday, that was
did.
my segue into this.
Yes.
Now, I wasn't before we tell our listeners what this is. I wasn't really right. So, spoiler alert. Right, let's get spoiler alert out there now. At the end of, actually, spoiler alert. Check. This is a spoiler alert now. Just making sure.
Yeah.
At the end of Spider-Man: No Way Home, we had our first look at Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
And I was excited to see the trailer because I think Doctor Strange is one of the best MCU characters.
I thought you were talking about the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 trailer.
Oh, ruined it. I've ruined it, haven't I?
So, do carry on.
And I thought, yeah, this looks quite good, but I wasn't like, oh my god, I'm really excited. Anyway, trailer 2 for Doctor Strange 2 dropped on Super Bowl Sunday. Holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
Mark, explain to our listeners why I swear. Because...
Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's how you do a trailer. It's an impressive one because, and again, we spoke about this with the Spider-Man stuff. The Spider-Man trailers had this really tricky balance of showing the multiverse stuff, glimpses of villains that we've seen before without revealing anything about whether or not we'd get any other Spider-Men, right? Even though the rumours, the internet, everyone knew it was going to be that. The trailer kind of played that side down. Now, my understanding of that is that Sony was in charge of that marketing campaign because it's a Marvel Studios production, but it's a Sony release and they deal with the marketing. This obviously is a full-on Marvel movie. And I think they've struck the balance here perfectly in terms of teasing this kind of huge multiverse stuff, which kind of kicked off with Loki and then went through Wanda. Oh, sorry, kicked off with Wanda, I guess, really, didn't it?
To a degree, yeah.
And then Loki, and then obviously No Way Home really burst it open. And now this is like a sequel to all three of those things, kind of pulling it together. And yeah, I think that the balance of you are going to see the craziest shit, but as much as wild as this trailer is, we're not even showing you half of what's going to happen.
This is the thing. So you still haven't really explained why the holy shit was uttered. Now, I watched this. I think it dropped like 5 to midnight, I want to say, on Sunday. I happened to be up, and the trailer dropped. I said to my wife, let's watch this. Yeah. And we both got up out of the sofa and gasped because...
Well, this is the bit I'm getting to. This is the bit I'm getting to.
Oh, you're such a tease.
Because.
Oh.
Yes, the No Way Home trailer kept its thing very much under its hat, apart from the villains, right? This one, we hear a very familiar voice. Right?
Tell them who it is. Tell them who it is, Mark.
Patrick Stewart.
Oh my god.
Okay, a.k.a. Professor X, right? Professor Xylophone himself.
Oh.
We don't see his face. We see what we presume is the back of his head.
And his left ear.
But the voice is unmistakable.
Right? You can't unhear his voice.
And clearly, this is the beginning of the introduction of the X-Men.
It's well that, but
it's more. Obviously, there's more going on.
It's Marvel's Illuminati. That is what this meeting is. And
yes,
again, we could bang on that the X-Men are becoming canon, and of course, it's probably going to be a variant of Charles Xavier. But
oh yes, I doubt this is going to be the Fox Xavier.
But they're oh god.
To be fair, I would imagine that this will be a one and done appearance by Patrick Stewart.
Oh, I agree.
Because I can't imagine him now wanting to sign up for another 10 years worth.
Well, I did see a theory today. Imagine if Wanda has all these visions. Imagine if Patrick Stewart morphs into McAvoy. Or
the McAvoy version appears at some point.
It could be. But this comes back to the Marvel know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They wanted you to know that was Patrick Stewart, and they wanted you to know that the X-Men are coming.
Yeah.
And there was another thing online. in the poster,
Mm.
well, one, I think we're going to get a ton of variants in this film, and the trailer gives you that idea.
Oh yeah, yeah,
In the poster, somebody's upped like the resolution, or not upped the resolution, but upped the brightness on certain shards of glass, and you can
Yeah.
clearly see what looks like Deadpool.
yep,
And then Captain Carter's shield.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
in the trailer, when you see Doctor Strange being taken to the Illuminati,
yeah,
to the left of Strange, you see a character sat in the chair. Someone's
Yeah.
upped the brightness. It's Mr. Fantastic. It has
it looks
to be.
like it. It does look like it.
It's
But
going to be batshit.
But I think what I was getting to in terms of the Patrick Stewart bit, you think if Marvel are happy to let that cat out of the bag
Oh,
at this stage,
yeah.
imagine what they're not letting out.
I completely agree with
Do
you.
you know what I mean? Because under normal circumstances, just him being in it as Professor X would be a huge deal, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it is. But even him being in an MCU film would be like, Jesus Christ, wait. But cocking hell, if they're happy for that, just like drop that casually into a trailer.
Oh,
Can you? What? There's obviously rumours, right? There's rumours that John Krasinski's been cast.
it's
as
got to be
Reed
Krasinski.
Richards. There's rumours that Tom Cruise is going to play a variant of Tony Stark, and that the Ultron droids that were taking Strange to the Illuminati were his successful version of the Ultron program, right?
Cool.
As opposed to the MCU one that went tits up. So yeah,
Do you know what I'm most excited for the prospect of?
Go on.
They can bring Hugh Jackman in as a Wolverine cameo. He finally makes it to the MCU. Then they recast the real MCU or our timeline variant of Logan.
Yeah.
Bosh.
Yeah. I think this is going to be a real kind of I think
It's going to be a ton of fan service, but also really sort of plough now the next 5-10 years again of the series. And the fact that Patrick Stewart is in it is, I can't contain my excitement anymore. I'm so excited for these films now. I wasn't, and now I'm like, no, they're doing what Spider-Man did, which was massive fan service.
Yeah.
But it turned out to be a bloody good film.
One other thing they did on this trailer, which is, I don't think it's not the first time they've done it, but it's certainly a new development, is one of the first parts of the trailer says a film by Sam Raimi.
Oh.
Where they are front and centre advertising the fact that it's who the director is. They did it for Returnals, where I think at the end of the trailer it said from the Oscar-winning Chloe Zhao, right?
I think they wanted to cash in on the fact that she was an Oscar winner, though.
Exactly. But here it's like, yeah, fucking Sam Raimi. We've got Sam Raimi.
Yeah, you know? I'd say he was not Mr. MCU, obviously, but he was the man that brought superheroes into the forefront of as a billion-dollar company, I would say, with his original Spider-Man trilogy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Could you imagine if we get Tobey Maguire and he gets to direct Tobey Maguire again? That'd be pretty cool.
Well, again, that's been another one of the rumours that at least one of the other Spider-Men are going to appear in it as well.
Is it out in May?
It may.
Oh, it's not long.
Not long at all. One thing I'm interested in, though, is Scott Derrickson's still listed as a producer, right? And he was originally going to direct it. And
he was the original director of Strange, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he did the first one, and he was kind of tied up to do this one. And he left over the old creative differences. Now, what was interesting there is that when it was first announced and he was still attached as director, he said it was going to be Marvel's first horror film. Now,
yes, I remember that.
Now, obviously, Marvel are never going to make a horror movie, right? Whatever they make, it's going to, unless it's Deadpool, whatever they make as part of the MCU is going to be a PG-13/12A, right? But obviously, it was clear he meant it's going to really push it right to the edge. And he's a horror director, so you can kind of get that. But he left over kind of differences over the script. And I wonder if the fact that they replaced him with Sam Raimi, who is
a horror director,
shows that they're clearly still going to be pushing that edge. And you can see from the trailer there are some shots that look pretty
intense
out there. Intense. But I wonder if this was a similar situation to the one that they had with Edgar Wright, where his Ant-Man script was originally written before the MCU even existed, right? He'd been working on it for 10 years before
Oh, that I never knew.
the MCU, right? He'd been working for it a long time when I think Artisan Entertainment owned the rights at one point before Marvel bought them back, and he'd been working on it since then. It was then kind of squidged and molded to fit into the MCU, but he left because Marvel were trying to get too much of the wider MCU references into it, so it wasn't as much of a standalone film anymore. And I wonder if Derrickson had the same issue where he's trying to make this. I mean, it was still called Multiverse of Madness at the time, right? But he was trying to make this film that he wanted to make. But Marvel were going, actually, no, this is Multiverse now. We want you to include this. We want you to include that. We're going to have these cameos. We're going to have these variants because we've got WandaVision and Loki are doing all the variant things, and we've got these cameos, and we want to link it to the next 5 films that are coming out later on. We need to introduce the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, blah blah blah. And I wonder if he was like going, no, I just want to make my sequel that's about the multiverse, and it's like a horror movie. And they were like, no, we want
Get in your box.
basically. And so I wondered originally, is it because that Marvel didn't want to go down that horror? Let's not call it a horror movie. Didn't want to go down that darker route. But then they brought Sam Raimi on, who's a horror director. So maybe that wasn't the issue. But it seems like now it's so stuffed full, if the rumors are to be believed, with different cameos from both a character perspective and an actor perspective. Did he just not want to do that?
Quite possibly.
Well,
I'm sure it'll come out in the wash.
It will. And I mean, he's still attached as a producer, so obviously, they still want him around to a degree. But whatever, as trailers go, I think it's one of the most impressive. What the fuck have I just seen trailers?
It certainly did
long time.
what it's meant to do, which is get you hyped.
Absolutely.
But we should move on, Mark, because this is a jam-packed episode.
We should. Okay, talk about trailers that are going to get you hyped. One which didn't particularly was the one for the Lord of the Rings TV show.
I still haven't watched it, purely because I want to go into it, I think, quite unknowing of what's coming.
Yeah.
And, from what you've said, it looks stylistically very close to Jackson's
it looks
trilogy.
Fine. It looks fine. There's really, all I know is it's set thousands of years before the other films, or the films, the stories. There's really nothing there. You see glimpses of bits of action. The landscapes look impressive. We'll see. I think we need a proper full trailer to...
Yeah, it's out on Amazon Prime later in the year, isn't it?
I think September.
For all you UK. I assume it's Prime in America too, or is it Hulu in America?
Oh, worldwide. It'll be worldwide. No, it's Amazon we're making it. It's Amazon.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay, so that's that one.
I've been to the cinema.
Go on.
I went on a mandate with one of my best friends to go and see Jackass Forever.
Okay.
Which is the 4th ridiculous outing of the Jackass franchise. I laughed quite a bit. I also cringed quite a bit. And I was a little bit sad when it was over, truth be told.
Okay.
Was it as good as the others? No.
Right, okay.
Was it what we needed after a really shitty 2 years? Absolutely.
That's all you can ask for, really.
Well, yeah. The fact that, they don't do many good comedy films at the moment, like a serious comedy now. I'm not talking slapstick.
Yeah.
But, to go and have a giggle at some people being stupid, it's quite nice and refreshing.
Yes. No, yeah. I've not seen it yet, but the reviews have been generally very positive.
I was surprised with it being as, like you say, as reviewed as highly as it is. I was surprised that I came out feeling less like them. And I think it's a movie that has been overhyped by the critics.
That's interesting, because a lot of the more positive reviews I read were from critics who I wouldn't have expected to particularly like it.
That's cool, and I'm happy for them.
Which is good, yeah.
Now, also, another reason why I was a bit, this isn't as good as I expected it. Now, this might get edited out. I love male nudity as much as the next straight man, right?
No, this is staying in.
However, this one was way over the top. And some of the stunts they've done with their junk is horrendous. the opening scene is absolutely frigging hilarious, but why would a person do that to their junk? I don't know. But it... and apparently 4.5 is on the way. Rumours are it's a Netflix exclusive.
Oh, excellent.
And Jeff Tremaine's, they said, what can we see in the extended cut of 4.5? And he just said more male nudity. But,
Well, you'll be happy with that then.
It just got too much, mate. I didn't like that, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But three trumpets from me.
Okay. Let's go to the Book of Boba Fett.
Book of Bobalorian.
Which finished last week. Well,
Where do we start?
I think the pamphlet of Boba Fett would have been better.
It was more the poster, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and the poster boy of Boba Fett was the Mandalorian.
Well, it was, wasn't it? I think it would have been better as a story kind of woven into the Mandalorian season 3, perhaps.
Agreed.
I just don't think there was enough there to carry. What was it? 7 episodes?
Was it really that long?
I think it felt longer. Yeah, it was a shame, really, because the episode in Mandalorian where he kind of came back
It was so good.
was fucking brilliant.
It's funny because it's had the opposite in this one. The episode where the Mandalorian came back was awesome.
Yeah. I think it was a real shame because I think there was really the flashbacks. I think were the worst part because although they show him escaping from the Sarlacc pit and kind of training with the Sand People, etc., they didn't really tell us anything that we needed to know, right?
No, because the Sarlacc escape was confirmed in a comic, wasn't it, a while ago?
Possibly, yeah.
Something like that.
There just didn't feel like that was developing him as a character at all, right? And I think what I would have rather have seen. Now, we may have already seen this in some of the animated series. I don't know because I've not watched them, right? But what I would have rather have seen is what happened to him after Attack of the Clones when his dad was killed and he picked up the armor.
Yeah.
Right. What happens in between that and Empire Strikes Back where we see him as a bounty hunter?
And we'll never know.
I want to see that. Because like there's a bit where the Cad Bane clearly knows him, right? Who's I guess has worked with him in the past, either worked with him or been a rival to him in the past. What about that? How did he go from being the kid whose dad was killed? Oh, well, not even his dad, was he? He was a clone of his dad.
Oh, clones can be parents too, Mark.
But you know what I mean? Like what happened? What I would want to see if they were going to do flashbacks was the teenage Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Becoming a bounty hunter. And his past interactions with characters like Cad Bane and some of the others that he clearly knows along the way kind of thing. How did he get into then working for the Empire and so on? That would have been more interesting than what we got, which was teaching Sand People how to ride speeder bikes.
But they also brought back Luke Skywalker.
Much more successfully than
the last one.
Mandalorian.
Yeah, and again, there's not really much to say about that because every other bloody nutcase on the internet has been talking about it. But I was like, yeah, they've sold me on that now. And I thought they did a much better job. And if they are going to bring Luke back in it, they've got it nailed now.
Oh yeah, I think they could do that now in like the other series that are coming along without any issues, no problem at all. But no, I just think it was fine. There were some good bits, but I don't think there was enough there to warrant a dedicated series. It would have been better as part of Mandalorian.
I 100% agree.
But you know, there we go. I guess that's that one.
How many trumpets would you give it, Mark?
God, out of what, 5?
We always go 5 trumpets.
Yeah, I'll go maybe a 1.5, maybe a 2.
It's quite hard to do a half trumpet because I drop them in, don't I? So it'll have to be 2 or a slightly elongated 1. Yeah, okay.
It'll be a 2.
Cool.
But yeah, not really.
Okay. Anyway, so last bit of sort of review and what we've been looking at before we get into the deep dark side of our topic of the week. This Is Going to Hurt has now, finished if you watch it on iPlayer, I guess, which is a medical comedy drama based on the book by Dr. Adam Kay. Follows Ben Whishaw as a OBGYN doctor, doesn't it? And
Brats and Swats.
Brats and Swats. And I laughed until my jaw hurt, and at times I thought I was going to cry my eyes out. Absolutely fantastic telly.
Just incredible show. I mean, the book is fantastic. It's quite different to the book, but the book
it doesn't end like I know how, because Adam is now a Dr. Adam. He's no longer a doctor, but he's a comedy writer, and I happened to Wikipedia him because I was interested, and I saw why he leaves the medical profession. Yeah. And that doesn't happen in the show yet.
No. But you're right. I just thought it was fantastic. I thought there was, you could tell it was written by someone who'd worked there. You know, there was none of this. It was funny, but not like Scrubs funny.
No, it's funny because it's not it's sarcastic, but like there's scenes where, you know, he asks a man to go get a sample, and he gives him a pot, and he comes back with a pot of his ejaculate, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, I should have been more specific." And then he turns with his elbow, he knocks it over his phone, and I said to my wife, I went, "That's sad because that's actually happened to him probably." Yeah. And that's why it's there. But I was weak, absolutely weak.
It was fantastic. It was fantastic, and there were some bits in it where the stuff happens in some of the bits. And again, we don't want to spoil it, but there's bits where you go like, you know, I was not expecting that, or there's I don't know, it can change tone so quickly.
It doesn't shy away from the fact that the NHS has been struggling since, well, it's set in 2006, and it shows the NHS was struggling badly back then, and you know, we all know how much pressure has been put on it in the last 2 years. But there's parts where it's bloody hell. I don't know how these people can do that job. I couldn't do it. That's why I've never tried to pursue it. But it was really good.
It was fantastic. One of the best pieces of television I've seen for
I'm going to give it our first 5 trumpets.
Oh my word! I would, if I could give it a 6, I would give it a 6.
Maybe I'll drop a 6th in for you, Mark.
Thank you very much. Was there anything else you want to cover before we move on?
I don't think so. I think it's time for the topic of the week jingle.
Okay, cue jingle.
It's time for topics of the week. Right.
So go on then. Do you want to introduce this bit?
I do. I'm enjoying all this like newfound responsibility of introducing our topics and talking a bit more. It's quite nice actually. So we've talked a lot about I would call it our mainstream media, so our films and our television services.
Yes.
But something that has been around for, well, years and years now. So 2000, I want to say 2005 it first launched, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, sounds right.
Let me find an actual statistic.
Stand by for a fact check. Fact check incoming.
Yes, look, 2005. I was correct. I should have stuck to my guns.
If you had that ready.
I actually didn't have the tab open, so there we are. YouTube has become this tour de force giant since its launch in 2005, and with its own subscription service now. Mark and I wanted to talk about that side of content. You know, it's on the internet, it's free to watch for the most part, and we just wanted to have a little chat about what YouTube we like, because of course we slack off, we watch YouTube, and you know, it's a service that has 2.1 billion users worldwide,
which is phenomenal. That's a huge, astonishing
figure. It shouldn't be ignored. And you know, we always talk about the big stick wavers. YouTube is a big stick waver. You know, so we've got a list of a few YouTubers that we like.
YouTube, aside from a few kind of select TV shows and so on, I probably watch more YouTube than regular TV these days, with the kind of channels that are there, and of course the old powerful algorithm suggesting new stuff. It's just great, and it was actually tricky to whittle down to a list of. I think we've got 5 each. I think it was tricky for me to whittle down to just 5, to be honest.
I think mine was easier purely because I do go down the rabbit hole more than like follow a YouTuber, and
okay.
And you'll find a lot of mine aren't people that are vloggers, and they're not. Oh, this is what I'm doing in my life. Look how much money I have.
Oh yeah, no, I can't stand all that stuff.
The whole YouTuber name, I think, is dirty, because it is a vanity contest with a lot of these creators.
Yes.
Whereas a lot of the ones I'm looking at are maybe teaching, maybe dissecting things that I'm a fan of. But go on, you start.
Okay, well, my first one is a lot of mine are a similar thing, really. The more kind of information stuff and education is the wrong word, but that kind of thing. So my first one is one called Technology Connections. It's an American channel, and it's just a real mix. It's just one guy in his studio who basically breaks down different technologies, be it modern, be it a couple of centuries old. He'll look at the history of, some recent ones, for example, black and white film development and photography, darkroom printing, light bulb technology, why, UK plugs are better than American plugs because of the, safety features
everybody
built
knows
in.
that.
But that kind of thing, right? And he breaks it down nice and easily. He looks at different, old-fashioned gas lamps, different types of clocks, and it's such a varied range of stuff that he covers, from kind of industrial things down to a lava lamp that you might have in your room. How does a lava lamp work? That kind of thing. And they're just interesting. They're not too long, usually no more than half an hour.
Cool.
Yeah, just really interesting, fascinating stuff. And there's always something new.
Nice.
Your turn.
My first one, again, no particular order here, but I'm going to start off with quite a big hitter of the internet world, which is What Culture.
Oh, yeah.
So they are again, straight off their website. In 2006, they started publishing articles under the banner of Obsessed with Film, aiming to be a news destination and conversation hub about all things Hollywood. Sounds a bit like us, mate. Yeah. But they've grown into writing articles, TV, gaming, music, science, tech, comics, sport, everything you can think of. I personally follow their YouTube side, not the website.
Yeah.
And they do lots of here's our top 10 best horror films, or here's our top 10 best practical effects in films, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that's quite fun. You don't necessarily have to watch the entire film, but they've done some really cool videos over the years. But one chap in particular, one presenter, is a chap called Jules, and one day I was watching this video, and before he did his usual sign off, he did this really emotional, look after yourself kind of speech. And I've noticed ever since he does one at the end of everything, and it's a case of thanks for watching this, and you're a really good person, and you should look after yourself, because it's okay not to be, and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And it really threw me. It just made me sit there and think, what a cool way to sign off a video that he doesn't know who we are, but it was quite not an inspirational quote or an inspirational moment, but it was certainly a nice thing to put at the end of a bloody YouTube video,
I get you. No, I get that.
But no, it didn't affect me, but it was just a nice thing to hear, I guess. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes a change. I think a lot of these kind of sites that are full of top 10 lists and all that are just like an annoying voiceover.
They just want your like, and then they want you to go away.
Yeah, basically. So to have that little kind of moment at the end, I guess, just makes a nice change. No, that's cool. That's cool. My next one is sorted food, right?
I like food.
You like food?
I do like food. I eat it most days.
I do as well. Yeah. So they are quite a big channel, all right. They're hardly a kind of amateur guy working from doing a thing out of his basement, right? It's a group of guys, mainly guys. Occasionally they let girls play, and it's a mix of chefs. There's a couple of chefs, professional chefs, and there are 3 what they call normals, right? Just non chefy guys, and they just look at kind of different food stuff. Really, they'll look at kitchen gadgets, right? Are these gadgets any good? They'll do recipes from a 100-year-old cookbook and try and recreate old recipes. They do. One of the ones that's interesting, actually, that they do quite often is expensive ingredients versus the cheaper alternative, right?
That's pretty cool.
So, obviously these days when you're trying to kind of save money where you can, you want to be sure that if you are going to spend extra, you're spending extra on quality ingredients. You're not going to throw your money away. So they'll have like a cheap, smart priced tin of something versus a hand-picked select Harrods equivalent or whatever it might be, right? Maybe not Harrods, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like one of the recent ones was testing honey, right? And you think, well, fucking honey is honey, right? But it was a £2 jar of honey versus a £15 jar of honey.
But
And
yeah,
it's
who's
like,
spending 15 quid on honey?
but you know what I mean? But it's like, one, can you actually tell the difference? Two, could you justify spending the difference? Where might you use one instead of the other, kind of thing? So that's quite interesting.
Cool.
I always like that. And they'll do like similar ones where they've got like making the same dish, one with a £5 budget and one with an unlimited budget. And again, what are the results? Can you really tell the difference? That kind of thing. So it's just kind of a fun, informative, useful, but entertaining generally more than anything.
Cool. I like that. That's a really cool thing, especially it's consumer advice that is looking out for the not working class, but do you know what I mean? The people that aren't as well off as other people. I like that.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good.
Okay, I'm gonna change the pace.
Go on.
Gonna move over to it's no secret that I like my music, so there's two musicians.
You may have mentioned that one sort of.
When I'm allowed to. There's two musicians on my list. The first one's a chap called Rob Scallon, who is a American guitarist.
Okay.
He is an insanely talented chap. He can play a plethora of instruments, a shit-hot guitarist, and he shouldn't really be allowed near stringed instruments, because if it's weird and stringed, he can play it.
Okay.
And he's doing a series at the moment with a friend of his who's a carpenter. They're making their own instruments with no experience.
Oh, wow.
So
All right.
he's created Scatela drum kit, a Scatela guitar, and the most recent one is a Scatela piano.
Oh, wow.
And they are hilariously bad, but of course he works out a way to play them and gets a song out of it, and it's incredible.
Okay. All right.
He's a really, really good musician. That's all it is, and it's just makes you jealous watching his shit. You go, I wish I could play like that.
Yeah.
But he's done stuff like create an album in a day with another musician, and it's just insanely talented.
I like the idea of the homemade instruments.
I'll send you the link because it's just so funny. The guitar one's brilliant because it was sharp. They went, do you know how to level frets? No. What fret wire do we do? Oh, just steel. Like stuff like that. It's so funny.
Okay.
But I'll hijack it for a little bit longer because my second musician on my list is Justin Hawkins Rides Again.
Of the Darkness.
Of the very same.
Yeah.
And his channel has really got huge over the last year or so. And he does a lot of in-depth analysis of things in music. So he's done things like the new Muse single, which I talked about a few episodes ago. He's gone in on that, and some critiques have been quite harsh. But again, as a musician myself, I like hearing other musicians' thoughts. And he's stupidly talented, knows a lot about music and music theory, and will talk you through why songs that are popular work. And I really like that.
Now, I've seen, because I'm young and hip, I use TikTok.
Oh, do you actually?
I do.
Oh, not even I've got TikTok.
As a viewer, not a TikToker.
I doubt it. I bet you mime into everything.
I'm more of a TikTok-y.
Jesus Christ.
He is on there, and I think he puts snippets of his longer videos on TikTok. Because I've seen bits of him where he's talking about there's a song that's out, and if you think it sounds familiar, here's why.
Yeah, that's
and
exactly what he's doing.
He breaks it down. So okay, but obviously TikTok's limited to like a couple of minutes. But here I can see, I'm just looking at his page now, I can see these kind of like 10, 15-minute long things.
Now, I didn't realise how musical he actually was. And that's probably me thinking, look at the band he was in and the persona that he had. But he's insanely talented.
Yeah.
And he comes back and he, if somebody slags him off from the last video, he comes back and explains it. And some people, he's really ripped a new one.
Yeah.
As you can imagine. But again, as a guitarist myself, I like hearing other people dissect stuff. And I don't have the same musical theory knowledge that he does, so I'm learning stuff. Well worth a subscribe, especially if you're a fan of The Darkness. I mean,
I have just hit that subscribe button.
I was going to say maybe he'll listen and maybe you'll go cheers, but I doubt it. I doubt it.
Now, talking of dissections, here is a smooth segue into my next one, Cinema Tyler. Okay, so this is a bit more kind of scholarly, let's say, But it's an in-depth. What it says here, we take an in-depth look into the construction of some of cinema's greatest movies. So they're like video essays, right? Around, well, a recent one has been about how Warner Brothers got the Batmania going in 1989. There's stuff around, why The Exorcist was so scary to audiences in the 70s. He's then done whole series. So there's a whole playlist on there where he's made a series of videos about the making of Apocalypse Now. And there's 10 videos there, and they're all like, 20 minutes, half an hour long.
Okay.
Really in-depth look at the development of the film, how George Lucas wanted to make it before Coppola made it, how he raised the money, the choice of the Jim Morrison song that opens the film, the whole thing around Harvey Keitel being fired, just so in depth. And that's just about Apocalypse Now. He's done similar ones on Kubrick. He did a one for Full Metal Jacket, Clockwork Orange. So like this whole series of video essays, so well researched. This isn't a criticism. Not highbrow. Not kind of. They're not going to turn people off, right? They're not all kind of pretentious, but just accessible, really well researched, clear, factual, just fantastic. Either, as I say, standalone individual essays, as well as a series. He's clearly a huge Kubrick fan because he's done tons of stuff on Kubrick. But he's got stuff in there, sci-fi, historical movies, recent films, old films, all that kind of thing. And they're all digestible. They range in time from kind of 15 minutes to half an hour or so each. And they're just well worth a watch. Really enjoy that channel.
Excellent. Would you like another one? Because I took up two.
Oh, sure, yeah. My next one then is Toy Galaxy.
I like toys. I like food. I like toys. I'm an adult, but I like toys.
So Toy Galaxy is a kind of a pop culture in general channel, right? And it looks at the history of toys, TV shows, movies, cartoons, whatever it might be. Again, videos range from kind of 15 minutes to half an hour or so. Is covered, the history of Knight Rider, Ninja Turtles films, Captain Power, Voltron, He-Man,
Some
Gundam,
really good
anime stuff.
cult things there.
Yeah, cult stuff. 80s, 90s is kind of a particular area that he covers, but he does more up-to-date stuff as well. And again, nice, fairly short videos, digestible, well-researched, and just well put together. And if you kind of grew up in the 80s and 90s, and you're into your pop culture, there's tons of stuff in there that you'll learn about. It's American, so it's obviously very skewed towards the American side of things. But yeah, it's good fun, good interesting stuff to watch on there.
I'll check that out. That sounds quite cool.
And
Cool.
what's your number 5?
So my next one again it's a theme. In the last 2 years, I'd say, Steve-O from Jackass has become a bit of a social media star.
Mm-hmm.
And his YouTube videos are an interesting insight into his life and with his stories of fame, drug abuse, his sobriety. I can't remember how to say that. His new sober life.
Yeah.
That'll be brilliant in the edit.
Oh yeah,
and
smooth.
he looks at some untold stories. He's got a podcast as well, Steve-O's Wild Ride, which I don't listen to, but again, I watch the clips online. And it's just quite interesting. He's very open. He's very frank. It's just a decent thing. I'm a fan of the Jackass series, and I'm certainly a fan of how Steve-O has, one, remained alive, but two, turned his life around.
Yes, I'm kind of in awe about how he's still alive.
It's incredible.
To be honest.
But it's also incredible to see. I'm in awe that he's alive, yes, but I'm more in awe that his sober life, because I'm not going to say the words again, he maintains it, and of course it's going to be a struggle for him, for a man that had the life that he had, And, I've not suffered with substance, but I imagine it would be a right bloody hard thing to actually get over and stick at it for 10 years like he has been.
Oh, yeah.
Again, if you're a fan of the Jackass series, it's well worth a watch.
Yeah, I've not watched the channel. I've not seen any of his videos, but in stuff I have seen him in outside Jackass, he's like been guests on different programs
Sure.
and other podcasts. He always does come across as very kind of genuine and down to earth.
He does seem a nice bloke.
He's not like one of these fame's gone to his head wankers kind of thing. He does very settled.
Yeah.
And as you say, especially considering what a whirlwind he must have gone through when Jackass was at its height.
Yeah.
He does seem very kind of settled and happy with where he is and what he's up
And he's
to,
still
so.
doing absolutely batshit stuff.
Well, yeah.
Which is crazy sober. But
yeah.
he just seems like a genuinely nice guy. And I hope he brings his stand-up tour over here, to be honest, because it looks really good. And he said it's stuff that he could never have done it as part of Jackass.
Yeah.
So,
and
yeah.
I dare say he'd do well if he brought that over here.
Of course he would.
I think there's a lot of fans around that'd still want to go and see him.
Yeah.
Okay, well, my last one, the channel is called In Camera. And it's a small special effects company in the UK who have a channel that basically covers low-budget filmmaking with special effects. So, as the name suggests, the focus of their channel is to demonstrate the kind of way you can achieve very, convincing effects and impressive effects on a low budget using in-camera techniques, right? So model work, hanging stuff in front of the camera and things like that. But with a little bit of digital work in there just to kind of augment, but never kind of take over. If you know what I mean. So they've done stuff on how you might do like bullet hits, for example, miniature submarines, miniature planes.
That sounds right up my street.
It is. It's great. So they take, there's one where it was done over 2 or 3 episodes of creating a shot of like World War II bombers flying over a city that had been bombed and was on fire. Right. With the camera looking down from above the bombers as they fly over the city that's below. And the whole shot, the actual city was basically done by taking some satellite photos, blowing them up huge and printing them out onto a board, putting lights behind the pictures, but pricking little holes in the paper so the lights came through, covering that then with like literally just cotton wool with some lights inside to look like smoke and fire and things, and then using like a model kit bomber in front of a blue screen, comping that on several times to look like a whole squadron of bombers.
That's genius.
And the final shot's incredible, right? Genuinely incredible. But you see how they do it kind of at every stage. And for low budget filmmakers, you go, actually, that's achievable. Literally anybody could do that. So it's really nice. They don't go in for this like unrealistic, just do it all in CG and blah blah blah. It's like, here's how you take a model kit of a submarine and make it look like it's a huge submarine underwater.
I'm gonna have to look at that. That sounds really cool.
It's really cool. And as I say, it's a UK channel. They do, yeah. I'm going to put all the links to all of these channels that we're talking about in the description so everyone can check them out themselves. But if you love kind of practical, low-budget filmmaking, or maybe you're starting out yourself and you want to get some ideas and some tips, it's a fantastic channel. Personally, I do not have the patience to even know where to start with some of this stuff. And it's never something I think I'm ever going to try myself. But watching how they do it and thinking, do you know what? Actually, yeah, if you could be bothered, if I could be bothered, I could do that. But it's really good. It's really good.
My last one, and I have to save this one to last because it is my favourite, is Colin Furze, the Colin Furze YouTube channel.
The man, the legend.
He's an ex-plumber who builds a UK guy who builds the craziest contraptions, and a few of these you probably found him at the similar time to me, Mark, which was the X-Men props, not the X-Men props, but he made himself Wolverine claws, and then he made himself a pyro sprayer thing, and he's an engineer, and he's currently building a bunker in... start again. All of this is done out of his shed, right, in his suburban house in the UK somewhere. I don't know if it's Leicester way or something, but he's got this shed. In his garden, he already has a bunker, an underground bunker, and he's currently building he's probably built, but the way the videos have come out, he's currently building an underground tunnel from his bunker under his shed into his house. And I always keep thinking, one, his neighbours must bloody love him. Oh, secondly, he could never leave that house now, right? Surely. Could you imagine the listing?
I mean, yeah. I mean, most people would go, well, I'll build an extension on and I'll add a bit more value to the house. But it's like, how do you explain this?
Absolutely.
Well, there's a tunnel that goes to the bunker
but
that's under the shed.
He got not his rise to fame, but he got a chance to present on a Sky One show.
Right.
And then he decided, I'm going to go YouTube full time, because his channel was doing all right. And he's something at like 11 million, maybe 12 million subscribers, something silly.
Right, yeah.
But again, he seems a really down-to-earth guy. He hasn't, what I would call, sold out. He's not. I don't think he's under this big conglomerate who are going to push out all the channels, all the, I don't know an example, but he's not been taken on by a company. I still feel he does it all himself with his mates.
He does. He does do quite a lot of like promotional tie-ins, though, doesn't he? Like, I think when the last Star Wars,
yeah,
film
he did some stuff with Star Wars, and he's done stuff with Ford as well. So and eBay,
he did a Bond thing, didn't he?
Yeah, but he's not. I wouldn't still class him as a sellout. He's doing it to make sure his channel can go.
Oh, of course, yeah, you're right. It's not like a big corporate thing. It's still him.
But he seems like a really cool guy.
Yeah, I think the first thing I saw him, and I didn't realise it was him at the time. I saw him years ago and then saw the channel, and it was a while before I made the connection. But the first thing I saw him do was the world's fastest bumper car.
Oh, yeah, that was cool.
Which is like, I don't know what it was, 80 miles an hour, something stupid like that.
It was a world record thing, though, wasn't it?
It was, wasn't it? That was the first thing I saw him do, and then, as I say, when I saw the channel, it took me a while to make the link. But you're right, some of the stuff he does, the Wolverine claws, didn't he do like
magnet shoes?
Boots? Yeah, magnet shoes.
But he's also taught, again, this is if I had the patience and the skill, he's taught people how to make a jet engine.
Yes.
Oh, I'd love to do that.
Oh yeah, and I think he did one where he built something using parts he just got off eBay, wasn't he? It was all the bits he could get from eBay. So it's like, yeah, if you had the patience, it is something you could do yourself.
And he's got books out now, I think, like science experiments to do at home with kids, and it's really cool. I think he's a really decent, down-to-earth creator. Not a YouTuber, creator.
Yeah, I think the only thing is the music he uses on his videos.
Oh, no, see, I quite like it because it's not big label stuff. It's just fans have sent him music.
Is it? Is that what it is?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, take that comment back then, Mark.
I'm not going to take the comment back. But I will, in its new context.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. I didn't realise it. Do you know what I thought? I thought it was him with his own band, and it was just a way to get his music out there. But if he's actually using it as a way to give other people a bit of exposure,
it's better. Yeah, exactly.
Then that's cool. I'll let him off on that one. I'm not going to complain.
Well, that's our list, really. I mean, I like that none of us mentioned Sidemen or any of those big hit. Mr. Beast, who's got more money than sense, but it looks like he does a lot with it and gives a lot of it away. But still,
yeah. I mean, there's some others obviously that are kind of quite big that I watch as well. But I like the ones which, like Colin Firth's, where it's just him or it's just a couple of people. And I think the biggest one I've probably included on my list is this Sorted Food, which is, they've got an app, they've got like one of these recipe service things going, so they are more of a business than maybe they started out as.
Sure.
But it's still a group of friends doing it, and you can still tell they're just having a laugh doing it.
Cool.
Do you know what I mean? But whereas they've grown over time. to do what they do now. But yeah, I do prefer these channels that feel a bit more homegrown,
I agree.
where it's not just some huge kind of corporate thing behind it.
Honourable mentions then.
Yeah, go on.
Well, for me, Watch Mojo, very similar to What Culture, lists and top tens and stuff. And then I added another two. So the Zach and Jay Show, two British YouTubers, they've just done mad shit. But it's now just the Jay Show. No, it's not. It's now just the Zach Show because Jay's left to pursue some travelling, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've the most recent one I saw Zach do was Guinness in every Weatherspoons in Northern Ireland and Ireland. And it ends messy, but it's just weird stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then finally, for me, everybody knows these guys, the slow-mo guys. They're incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Dan and Gav are just amazing at talking about really complex stuff like film, and cameras and whatnot, but in a way that's not patronising. And Gav has made a bloody killing with capitalising on his skill.
Yes.
And just so talented.
They are great. Because they, as the name suggests, right? They kind of use very high speed cameras, and some of it's just fun, right? Just like what happens if we spin something around really fast until it flies apart.
The CD-ROM one is one that sticks in my head.
But with others, there's a genuine thing of like they show you how certain things work that you just never see at normal speed.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a kind of educational element there as well. That I do like that channel. I think for mine, I'd look at there's a UK site called Techmoan, which is kind of a retro, not always retro, but kind of retro tech review repair site where he kind of looks at it might be some obscure PA system that was designed only for use in shops to play music back in shops, right? But he's managed to find one on eBay that doesn't work, so he'll buy it, fix it up, and then he'll try and find some tapes because they're a unique custom size,
right,
that will work in it, for example. Or the next episode he might be looking at brand new sound bars, right? So it's like a real mix of technology that he looks at, and if it's broken he'll try and get it fixed. The other two kind of go together. One's called Mr. Mobile, and one is Mkbhd, who's pretty big in terms
Marcus
of
Brownlee, isn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Yes.
So both of those, Mkbhd is kind of a general technology channel, so phones, technology kind of side of things. Mr. Mobile is more dedicated towards phones, but they're both really good in terms of like their in-depth look at stuff. They obviously do sponsored content and so on, but you do get the feeling that they're giving their honest opinion on stuff. Just because they've been given a unit to review doesn't stop them criticising it, for example. And Mr. Mobile often looks at maybe older phones as well. Like he'll grab a phone from the 10 years ago that he found on eBay and like, how usable is this phone now, kind of thing in the modern day. So both of those are quite interesting. I think those are probably mine covered.
I think it's a pretty good insight into what we like doing outside of normal film.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty good. Again, all the links are going to be dotted somewhere. And
we'll put all the links in the description so everyone can check those out. And again, if anyone has got any they can recommend to us,
please do.
Please get in touch, drop us a line on Twitter at Culture Trumpet.
Oh, do the email.
Oh, podcast at culturetrumpet.com.
Oh, I love it when you say that. Yeah.
Did I get it right?
Yeah, you got it right. Well done.
And you can also find all the old episodes on www.culturetrumpet.com.
Yes, there's a website now and everything.
There is a website. We're doing it proper now.
And if there's a share, that would be awesome. We're not going to ask you for your money this week. Just give us a share. By the time this goes out,
we wouldn't want to mention our Patreon at patreon.com/culturetrumpet.
No, we're not asking you for your money.
No, we don't want the Patreon.
We've hit a little milestone and I won't say it because it's too big for you to comprehend, but we've hit a little milestone in terms of downloads, and I think now is the point. We want to still do this, but there needs to still be a bit of a point to it now.
Yep. So
give us a share. It's free.
Otherwise, we'll just keep on nagging. And, we do want to keep smothering the crunchy toast of culture with the sweet sticky jam of chat. So
How long have you been working on that one?
Only about an hour or so ago. So if you want to keep nibbling at the chat jam on culture toast,
Share it.
Like it, subscribe
and we'll be
it.
back next week.
Probably. We said that last time, and it was 2 weeks, didn't we? So
Yeah, because
no
life gets in the
promises.
way. Life finds a way.
It does, doesn't it?
Take it easy, listeners. Next time.
See ya. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.